Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be going over expanding double brackets. So let's get started. So to start off, what exactly is a double bracket? In algebra, I can have something like this. So let's say x plus 3 and then x minus 3. So when I have something inside brackets, so if I have, for example, here again, x plus 3 in brackets, we've covered that if I have, for example, 5 over here, what this 5 basically means is 5 times x plus 3. So, same thing here. The way to do this is, what this basically means is that this x minus 3 in brackets, we're just multiplying it by this other bracket. So, how can I do this? So the way to do double brackets is actually relatively simple. All you really have to do is look at this value x over here, the first value in my first double bracket. All I really have to do is multiply it by this x over here and this minus 3. So x times x is going to give me x squared, and x times minus 3 gives me minus 3x. And now the second thing is I get my second value in my first double bracket, so this plus 3. This plus 3, I then go ahead and multiply it by both of these values, the x and the minus 3. So plus 3 times x gives me plus 3x, and then plus 3 times minus 3 gives me minus 9. Now we can go ahead and collect like terms. So I have this minus 3x and this plus 3x. They cancel out with each other. So therefore my final answer is x squared minus 9. So over here is another example. So again, the first value in my first double bracket, I would have to multiply it by both of these values. So 2x times x, and then 2x times 5. So 2x times x just gives me 2x squared. And then 2x times 5 gives me plus 10x. Then I get my plus 3 over here, which is the second value in my first double bracket, and multiply it by both of these values. So plus 3 times x just gives me plus 3x, plus 3 times plus 5 gives me plus 15. Then we can go ahead and collect like terms. So I have this 10x over here and this 3x over here. So therefore my final answer is 2x squared, 10x plus 3x, which is 13x, plus 15. And that is my final answer. Now sometimes we can get a question like this, where x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 4 in brackets is equal to x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 5 in brackets. So how can we do this? So the way I would do this is split this into two. I would first expand this over here and then this over here and see that they're equal to each other, and then I can just find it out from there. So let's start with the x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 4. So we stated that it's just the first value in the double bracket multiplied by both of these. So x times x, which is x squared, and then I have x times 4, which is plus 4x. Then I have this 3 over here times this x times this 4. So 3 times x gives me plus 3x, and then 3 times 4 just gives me plus 12. Finally, we just collect like terms, so I can see that the 4x and 3x are like terms as they both have an x. So this just gives me x squared plus 4x plus 3x is 7x plus 12. So I can just chuck it down over here, set plus 12 is equal to, and then let's expand the other double bracket. So x multiplied by this x and this 5, so x times x is x squared, and then x times plus 5 is plus 5x. And then I have this minus 2 times this x, and then times the plus 5. So minus 2 times x gives me minus 2x, and then minus 2 times plus 5 gives me minus 10. Then I can just collect like terms, so x squared plus 5x minus 2x is plus 3x, and then minus 10. So I can see that x squared plus 7x plus 12 is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 10. And then I have this expression over here. So to kind of just simplify it even more further, you can just kind of take this entire thing and then subtract it by here. So I have kind of in the end x squared minus 4x minus 22 equals 0. And this is kind of your answer, but if you don't know how to get this, then this is just basically your answer simplified even further. You kind of just can minus 3x, then minus 3x over here, and then minus 12, whatever. And yeah, that's basically the final answer. Now the final thing before we move on into questions, note that if I have, for example, 2x minus 1 squared, a very, very common mistake. Some people see this and think, oh, it's just 2x times 2x and then minus 1 times minus 1. So the common mistake is they just do 2x times 2x, which is 4x squared, and then minus 1 times minus 1, which is just minus 1, and that's my final answer. No, this is wrong. What we have to do here is, since these are in brackets and I have two values, then I have to make my own double bracket. So this is so it's basically being multiplied by itself 2 times. So I just have 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1. And then we can just perform a simple expanding double bracket. So 2x times the 2x and the minus 1, and then the minus 1 times the 2x and the other minus 1. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times minus 1 gives me minus 2x. And then this minus 1 over here times the 2x gives me minus 2x again. And then minus 1 times minus 1, since it's a minus being multiplied by another minus, it gives me a positive, so it turns into plus 1. And then we just collect like terms, so this is all equal to 4x squared minus 2x gives me minus 4x plus 1, and that is my final answer. And that is going to be it for double brackets. Now sometimes we can also get a triple bracket. So over here is an example of a triple bracket, and it's nothing new to expanding double brackets. The way I would do this is, first I would expand both of these together, and then my answer, I would expand it again with the x plus 5. So let me show you guys how to do it. So again, the first thing I would do is expand these two. So I have x plus 3 times x plus 4. I'm just going to do it really quickly. I won't really explain it. So this gives me x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 12. So then I have x squared plus 7x plus 12. And then I would put all that in a bracket and chuck the x plus 5 over here. So times x plus 5. And then here is where we have the long process. So I have this x squared being multiplied by this x and this 5. And then let me make it a different color. This 7x being multiplied by the x and plus 5. And then this plus 12 being multiplied by the x and the plus 5. So let's do it in order. So x squared times x gives me x cubed. X squared times plus 5 gives me 5x squared. 7x times x gives me plus 7x squared. 7x plus 5 gives me plus 35x. Plus 12 times x gives me plus 12x. And then plus 12 times plus 5 gives me plus 60. Now is when we collect like terms. So the x squared, nothing else is x squared, so we just chuck it down. The x cubed, sorry, not the x squared. The x squared, I have 5x squared and 7x squared, and those are my like terms. So 5x squared plus 7x squared gives me 13x squared. This 35x and this 12x are like terms, so we can add them. So 35x, plus 12x is going to give me plus 47x. And then finally I have this plus 60, it doesn't have a like term, so I can just write plus 60. And this over here is my final answer for the triple bracket. And yeah, we've basically finished expanding brackets. So if it's more than a double bracket, just kind of do it in order and then keep multiplying by the next ones. And what I highly recommend in order to master this lesson is make sure you know your negative numbers and your like terms. And yeah, that's going to be it. And yeah, let's now do some questions together. Okay, so have a go at these 3 questions. If you're going to answer them, pause the video from now because I will answer them right now. Okay, so let's get started with question 1. X minus 3 squared. So again, don't fall for the common mistake where I just do x squared and then minus 3 squared and then that's my answer. No, we have to make our own double bracket to get the answer. So let me make some space. So don't make the common mistake where it's just x squared and then minus 3 times minus 3, which is plus 9, and that's my final answer. Again, it's wrong. We are supposed to make our own double bracket because we can see that these are in brackets, so therefore when it's squared it has to be in brackets again. So x minus 3 times x minus 3. So the x times this x, and then the x times the minus 3, and then the minus 3 times the x, and the minus 3 times the minus 3. So I get x times x, which is x squared, x times minus 3, which is minus 3x, and then I have minus 3 times x, which is minus 3x again, and a minus 3 times minus 3, which is plus 9. So collect like terms, so therefore my final answer is x squared minus 6x plus 9, and that is my final answer. So when you're doing double brackets where like both double brackets have the same thing inside, you guys will kind of notice a pattern when you do it, and you'll be able to do it in your mind automatically, but that comes with a lot of practice. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 is my final answer. The next question I have over here, x plus, so I can just do x times 15x, then the x times minus 10, the plus 4 times 15x, and the plus 4 times the minus 10. So x times 15x gives me 15x squared. The x times the minus 10 gives me minus 10x. Then I have the plus 4 times 15x gives me, I think it's plus 60x. 15 times 4 is 60, I think. And then the plus 4 times the minus 10 gives me minus 40. So when we collect like terms, I have 15x squared minus 10x plus 60x gives me plus 50x, and then the minus 40, and that is my final answer. Now for question 3, I can obviously see that I have a triple bracket since this x plus 8 squared makes a double bracket, and then I have this 2x minus 1. So again, do it in order. Do it in double brackets order. Don't just try to multiply them all at once because it will pile up heavily and it will be pretty hard to do. So x plus 8, let's just take it step by step. X plus 8 squared, so we'd have this double bracket. And then x times 8, 8 times x, 8 times 8. So x times x is x squared. Then I have x times 8, which is plus 8x. Plus 8 times x again is plus 8x, and then 8 times 8 is plus 64. So therefore I get x squared plus 16x plus 64, and then I'd had to multiply it with the 2x minus 1 over here. So both of these would be in brackets. And now is just x squared times 2x, then minus 1, and then 16x times 2x times minus 1, and then 64 times 2x times minus 1. So let's start with the x squared. So x squared times 2x gives me 2x cubed. Make sure you know your indices. X squared times minus 1 just gives me minus x, or minus 1x, doesn't really matter how you write it. Wait, minus x squared, remember, because there's a square here. So minus 1x squared, or just minus x squared. Then I have 16x times 2x, which gives me plus 32x squared, and then 16x times minus 1, which is just minus 16x. Plus 64 times 2x gives me plus 128x, and then plus 64 times minus 1 just gives me minus 64. Finally, we collect like terms, so this minus 2x cubed, there isn't any other value with x cubed, so I just chuck it down. Minus x squared and minus 32 squared are like terms as they both have x squared. So minus x squared plus 32x squared gives me just 31 plus 31x squared. Minus 16 and plus 128 squared are like terms, so I have minus 16x plus 128x, which gives me, I think, 112x, I think, yeah. And then this minus 64, we just chuck it down as it doesn't have any like terms. And that is my final answer. We've efficiently finished double brackets. I hope you guys understood this video, and I hope you guys have a good day. Goodbye.